Right. Well, for the longest time, the Sureños and the black gangs in LA had always been at war. There's always been tension.
Yeah.
So, but here you are, a kid who looks Mexican.
Yeah.
Even though you're half Mexican, but you look Mexican.
Right.
But you're part of the Bloods.
Yeah.
So what happens when you guys run into the Mexican gangs?
We rarely ran into any Mexican gangs. At that time, it was very like, we stood in our neighborhood, they stood in theirs, and we even had homies that were from Mexican gangs. I mean, there was a Mexican homie that was there before me. He moved out of the hood and moved somewhere else, but he was like the first Mexican homie that was banging with them. And at that time, most Mexican homies was banging with Crips. There was very few of us really banging with Bloods. Yeah, but it was tough because whenever we get rolled up on crash or any LAPD of any types, man, they'd be fucking with me off the top. Like, what are you doing around here with these guys? And I'd have to be extra, and I'd get fucked with extra. But the tension between black and brown, it wasn't necessarily as much on the street as it was in the prisons at that time. It leaked over into the streets much, much later. So like if the thing that would have happened is, had I gone to serve any serious time, you know what I mean, as an adult, gang member, whatever, and I'm Mexican, I would have had to dealt with anything that was the racial tension that was happening in the prisons at the time. I would have to have chose a side and then make deal with the consequences of that choice. So because I'm Mexican, I would have to roll in that, on that side. And if I don't, I'm gonna get rolled up by these dudes. If I choose to roll with the Bloods, I'm gonna get rolled up. Either way, I'm gonna get rolled up because one side feels I should be rolling with them, and because I'm a Blood over here, they feel like, nah, man, you should be over here with us. And so there would be a conflict. Anyone who's like me in any of those gangs has to fucking deal with that. And some choose the gang they're from over like what they are. Like, you'll see it, and sometimes those guys got to deal with it, Right.
Well, the Mexican Mafia, what's his name, Pegleg?
Yeah.
Who was white.
Right.
Was one of the founding members.
Right.
Of that, and he stayed on the Mexican side.
Yeah.
He could have joined all the Aryans and everything else like that in prisons, but he stayed on the Mexican side the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, and, he was high up.
Very high up.
And they protected him, you know what I mean? So, that's a different story. When you're just a soldier, you don't get that same type of protection. You may, depending, on the type of homies you have around you, but it's not easy being of another ethnicity in a gang, like if you're a Mexican in a black gang, or you're a black dude in a Mexican gang, or a white guy in a Mexican gang. There's all sorts of politics, man. But if you're well respected and high up there, and one of the shot callers, ain't nobody gonna fuck with you. But if you're a soldier, you might get fucked with.
Yeah, I interviewed Danny Trejo, who was good friends with Pegleg.
Yeah.
And he was saying how like 10 people died over the movie American Me.
Yeah.
Over like the depiction of the leader getting raped and some of the other stuff. And from what I understand, some of the people featured in that movie, like I think like got killed because of them being in that movie.
4 out here and about, I think, 6 in prison.
You're saying how...
Yeah, because Hollywood, Hollywood fucking takes a Hollywood style privilege and adds shit to a story that's not really there.
Yeah.
And some people that are in that world take offense to some of the liberties that Hollywood might take in telling a story like that, and they definitely did.
Yeah, I mean, there was a real body count around that. Edward James Olmos had a hit on him.
Oh yeah,
at one point.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that green light.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
you knew about it.
Yeah, it was all talked. It was talked about all through Los Angeles in terms of if you were connected to the street at all, and you were a fan of Dude, but you knew what was going on, you knew it wasn't safe for him for a minute.
Yeah.
To be walking on the street over some of the stuff that they told in the movie, you know, just for the sake of embellishment and making it more dramatic and shit.
Yeah.